Hi, Facebook. Skip Bayless coming to you live from West Los Angeles, Century City, about a mile from where we're about to do Undisputed tomorrow morning from 9:30 to noon Eastern Time. I probably shouldn't do this now. Oh, Ernestine just turned the lights off that I turn on. Leave them off. They're better off. They're better off. I'd rather do this in the dark anyway. I don't think I'm capable of doing this. I've never been so sickened by a game I just watched than I was by this game. Maybe I should calm down just for a second while I gather myself to talk about Spurs versus Zaza, the MVP of the playoffs so far. Maybe I better bring in my little girl, Hazel, just for a second here to calm me down. Hi, Hazel. Thank you, Ernestine. This is Hazel, our 7-month-old Maltese. Hi, Hazel. Hi, Hazel. She just heard me say a lot of bad words, but she was okay because she mostly slept through a lot of it, believe it or not. I kept coming out to see if she was okay, but she was just fine. Thank you, Hazel. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, now I'm better. Or maybe not. So the Spurs just lost a game they obviously should have won. Obviously, they would have won if the hockey goon, Zaza Pachulia, hadn't purposefully stepped under the foot, the bad ankle of Kawhi Leonard as he shot a three, just to make sure he came down on his size, whatever it is, 30 foot, and re-sprain the ankle, aggravate the sprained left ankle that got aggravated earlier when just bad break. It's like this just wasn't meant to be. Kawhi shot another shot from three-point land over on the side by the Spurs bench and inadvertently stepped back and stepped on David Lee's foot. So it was already aggravated, and then it got re-aggravated, further aggravated by just a flat-out dirty play. And you can say, well, Bruce Bowen used to do that, and he did, and I didn't like it. Wasn't a big fan of it. Bruce Bowen turned himself into one of the best defenders in basketball for my Spurs. I've been a Spurs fan since the 80s. Heck, the 70s, what am I saying? Since the 70s, George Gervin days. And Bruce Bowen used to be the master of sliding foot underneath, jump shooter. But this was just so classically blatant. Again, Bruce Bowen became known as the dirtiest player in basketball. He's a friend of mine. Love him on ESPN, love all that he's done. But I didn't love that. I just don't like it because it's just so low down, dirty. It's just a dirty scoundrel play. And right now, Zaza Pachulia he's the MVP of the playoffs. He just changed everything. Spurs are up 25 in the first half, 20 at halftime, thanks in large part to Kawhi. And by the way, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you heard on TV, he wasn't right from the start of the game. He was dominating, but he wasn't quite as explosive as he's been. Again, I'm a nut. I'm addicted. I watch every dribble of every game. He didn't have that explosive lift, even though he had a couple of dunks. He just got wide open and slammed it. But he wasn't quite right, but he was sure right enough that they were spreading the ball, sharing the ball. They got little contributions from Jonathan Simmons over here, and somebody come off the bench and make a shot. Danny Green made a couple big three-point shots, and they were rolling. They had LaMarcus in the flow. Look, I'm not a LaMarcus fan either. They signed him 2 summers ago. He's the free agent prize of the summer. He's not that guy. He's a complimentary star, but you need Kawhi to take over, and then you need them to blend. And I thought without Kawhi against Houston, maybe they found a little bit of balance. And I was so excited by what I saw in the first half because the Spurs are the best defensive team in basketball, and they did a defensive number on Golden State. But obviously, at Golden State in that building, you can't let them go on three-point crazed runs. If you get the crowd back into the game, you're going to lose. It's just inevitable you're going to lose. So obviously, just remember what happened in Game 5 against Houston. Kawhi was down and finally out. And the Spurs did, they were so Kawhi dominant this year, Kawhi-centric. Again, they tried to make it LaMarcus's team 2 years ago, and that was a big bust against Oklahoma City in the playoffs. And then this year they said it's going to be Kawhi, and then it became or bust. And on offense, they're just lost without him because he makes so many shot clock beaters where they just finally give up, give him the ball. He goes one-on-one, makes a one-handed claw shot. They had degenerated into that, and it caught them unawares when he went out against Houston. And all of a sudden, remember that stretch of the fourth quarter of Game 5 in San Antonio? Crucial turning point game. They went from the 10-minute mark, did the Spurs, all the way to the 4-minute mark. They could not score a point. But that was against James Harden's Rockets, and they go strictly as Harden goes, and he was starting to go farther south than Galveston, Texas, which is south of Houston. Went on vacation there one time when I was a little kid. And then what happened in the overtime? Still no Kawhi. He's sitting next to Pop. I thought maybe they'd give him a shot, but again, Pop was playing for Game 7, which would have been right now in this time slot today in San Antonio against Houston. And what happened? They went 4 minutes, did the Spurs, of the 5-minute overtime. They couldn't make a field goal. They couldn't make a shot from the field. They had a couple of free throws, but then finally Danny Green bombed a 3, and then Danny Green did something he rarely does, which he drove left-handed on James Harden, laid it up off the glass, got an and one, made the free throw. Nearly killed me when he missed a clinching free throw later, but that's when Manu came up with the great high IQ basketball, 39-year-old experience block, where he knew James Harden had to pull up at the line, and he just calculated quickly. His release point is right there. So I'm going to go up because I'm 1 inch taller than he is, and I'm a little longer than he is, and I'm going to go up and put my hand right there, and he's going to contact my hand with the basketball, which James Harden did. He played right into Manu's hands. It was all ball, clean block, and don't anybody out there try to tell me that he swiped him across the head. He didn't even touch him. He touched all ball. That turned that series around. Then obviously without Kawhi, it was just all about Harden in Game 6 because they are James Harden or bust. They're a solo star team. I said it from the start. I said it after they got blown out at home in Game 1. I told all the guys on Undisputed, I'm sorry, the Spurs will come back. You're going to all eat your words about how they're too old and too slow and too unathletic and too boring. And they all ate their words. Eddie House is back tomorrow on Undisputed. We will have a conversation. Meta World Peace ate his words. Chris Broussard ate his words. And they would have all eaten you-know-what tomorrow without Zaza. 20 at half. And Zaza changes the game. Again, it's just a hockey goon play. It just makes me sick because that's how Golden State has to win now. So they got Steph and Clay and Draymond and Kevin Durant. And they need the hockey goon to save the day, because that's what happened. He saved the day. He changed the playoffs. Let me get this off my chest. Is LeBron James not the luckiest superstar in history? Has he not gotten the biggest run of injury breaks you've ever seen in playoffs? I know they lost Bogut, and that was a tough loss for them. But the injury gods made it all back up to LeBron James because they avoided Dion Waiters, who missed the last 13 games after the Heat had been the hottest team in the league for 2 months, and they were bound for that 8th playoff spot. Might have been, obviously, could have been Boston, could have been Cleveland. But if Cleveland had wound up opposite Miami with Dion Waiters, who is not afraid of LeBron James, Cleveland would have gotten sunk in the first round of the playoffs. And then they avoid the Chicago Bulls, which they finally found themselves caught fire. And all they did was have Boston down 2-0 at Boston. They won both games, and right on schedule, Rondo breaks his, whatever it was, his wrist, whatever, and he's out for the playoffs. And trust me, Boston would have gone on to beat the Wizards. And Boston would have gone on, I believe, to have beaten LeBron and company in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a bad matchup for LeBron because Jimmy Butler is not afraid of LeBron James, nor is Rondo. And they had it cooking, and obviously they have the D-Wade factor. And again, he's still big brother to LeBron, and I think LeBron looks up to him. LeBron would have feared him, and just his presence alone would have given the Bulls an edge in the conference finals. Rondo gone, chances gone. Dion Waiters gone, chances gone. Kyle Lowry gone for the last really 2.5 games. Toronto had no chance anyway. So they're gone. And so you get the Pacers and the Raptors without Kyle Lowry, and that's it. period, end of story. I think Boston's going to win tomorrow night. So you're going to get a Boston team you match up great with because Jay Crowder cannot guard LeBron James. So cakewalk to the finals. Way to go, LeBron. Injury gods bless you once again, because my Spurs would have kicked your golden tail in the finals. I don't care what anybody says. My Spurs have LeBron James' number. It took Ray Allen making the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen to save LeBron's legacy. Without it, my Spurs would have beaten them all 3 times they faced LeBron in NBA Finals. And the last time, they only blew him off the court by a record finals margin. And go explain to me what happened to LeBron James in Game 3 and Game 4 in Miami of that series when it was tied 1-1. If you can figure it out, there's still an APB out on LeBron in both of those games. So they're at full strength, and Kawhi Leonard owned LeBron James. He's always owned LeBron James, and he would beat him this year, except he can't even play for my Spurs. I'm going to assume he's going to be lost for Game 2. They had him. This was it. This is the turning point. I picked Spurs in 7, but they obviously needed to, quote-unquote, steal Game 1. They needed to send the message that they sent in the opening game of this regular season when they won by 29. They were on their way to winning by 29. If Kawhi stays healthy for the rest of the game, and he was only semi-healthy to begin it, I don't know, I'm sure they would have made some run, but let's say they hold on and win by 15 or 12 or whatever. Message would have been sent. Home court advantage would have been stolen back for the Spurs, and I would love their chances to have gotten it to a Game 7-1. Look, Golden State is sensationally, we all know that, they're sensationally good. But here's the killer to me. Here's the final irony of today. Steph Curry goes down with the game on the line. Somebody's got to close the deal for Golden State. And what does he do? He makes the luckiest shot he's made all year. It just made me puke. I'm just so, it just tore my guts out because he shoots it too long and it pops up in the air off the back iron and somehow it just greases in. It just lucks in. I don't know how it did. You rarely make shots like that. It could have gone out just as quickly as it had gone in. And, of course, I have to go back to the 2-minute mark. I'm sorry, I'm free associating here. But Steph missed a big 3. And right on schedule, KD, a complimentary superstar, missed his big 3. And what happened? Both times long rebounds, just like the Ray Allen play off the Chris Bosh long rebound that he went and snagged with no Tim Duncan in the game. Well, both times, it's just luck. It's just luck. It's meant to be. The rebounds are so long that Golden State had the best shot to get them. Manu had a chance to get the second one. Manu is 39 years of age, and they preach to him, just try not to become what Brent Barry used to call El Contusion. Play a little smarter at 39 so we don't lose you for the season or for the playoffs. And should he have laid out and crashed into Steph on the loose ball rebound, the second long rebound? I don't know. He usually does. I thought there was a little self-preservation going on, but again, do I expect Steph then to just dribble to his right and shoot another one and make it? I don't. I thought we had them on the ropes psychologically there, but he made it. It was a huge shot, and then he lucks in the last shot, and so more power to you. You won, but I would have won with Kawhi Leonard. You know it, and I know it. And everybody in the world knows deep down if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get Zaza'd, doesn't get hockey gooned, doesn't get cheap shotted, dirty pooled, that the Spurs would have won this game. They're just going to win. Listen, Kawhi Leonard is not afraid of anybody, and he's not afraid of that building, and he alone would have been a big enough force. He would have gotten to the free throw line in the fourth quarter. I'm sure it would have gotten hairy and crazy and close, but my Spurs would have held on and won because they're just good enough to do that. They're good enough on defense. They're not great on offense without Kawhi as the fulcrum, as it's got to be sort of a centrifuge around Kawhi, and he's got to help create. And I got to give it up. Klay Thompson did a sensational job on Patty Mills. I tweeted just the 2 words, Patty Mills, 2 names, at halftime because I thought he would come up big at the end. And he made one play late and then made another play, but they were down 3, and so he had to miss the second free throw. But I thought he'd make one big late shot, And Klay Thompson was all over in the whole game. Again, it's 6'7", Klay Thompson versus 5'11", Patty Mills. He's 5'11", so he could get a shot off, and Klay Thompson is as good a perimeter defender as there in the league. So bully for Golden State there. That was a big mismatch or a great defensive match up for Golden State. I give you that. I give you that they roared back, and Steph was terrific most of the game until late in the game, and he just lucked in a shot. So, again, way to go. You've got Steph and Klay and KD and Draymond, and the hero, quote unquote, or the anti-hero. The MVP of the playoffs is Zaza Pachulia. I'm spitting it out because it just makes me sick. Way to go, Zaza. You did it. It's come to this for Golden State. You got to win cheap. You got to win dirty. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. And it's just going to be such an uphill battle now. If Kawhi couldn't come back for the second half, I'm going to say he's pretty doubtful to play or certainly to play well in Game 2. So it looks like Golden State's going to be up 2-0 going to San Antonio, and it's just a long, hard climb. I don't think I've ever seen a game in my career, and I started covering the NBA when I was here my first time around pretty soon after college out of Vanderbilt, when I worked for the LA Times and started covering the Lakers, writing about the Lakers for the LA Times when they had Kareem, and this is pre-Magic. This is like 1977. So I've been doing this for a long time, been rooting for the Spurs for a long time, obviously been rooting for the Cowboys for a long time. And I don't think I've ever been so sickened and saddened and torn apart by a loss as I was by that one. Way to go, Golden State. Congratulations. Your biggest signee in the offseason was not Kevin Durant. It was Zaza. Way to go, Big Z. You pulled it off. You are the MVP. I'll take this up again with those guys sitting across from me tomorrow. Shannon Sharp, Eddie House, Chris Broussard. We'll all be there, and it's going to get hot and it's going to get heavy tomorrow on Undisputed. Again, 9:30 to noon, Fox Sports 1. If you haven't checked it out, it's channel 219. If you have DirecTV, just look it up on your local cable. If you don't, if you got Time Warner or whatever, it's easy to find, not that far from the ESPN tier. And we will be there, 9:30 to noon Eastern Time tomorrow, Fox Sports 1. I've had enough for today. Later, Facebook.